Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Cranky Pundit podcast. I'm your host, Mike Morgan, the Cranky Pundit. So today, guys, I have made a list of the best starting 11, the best XI of the season, and the worst XI of the season. I've gone off vibes, like I usually do on this podcast. I'm just going off vibes. I didn't look through stats so much. I didn't look through at how many goals they scored, assists. I just literally went through who's impressed me this season, who over a good few amount of games has consistently tore up the Premier League this year, and on the other hand, who has consistently been total crap. Don't forget to give the podcast a 5-star rating on Spotify, and if you're listening to it on YouTube, please give it a like and subscribe, please. We're just getting off the ground on YouTube, so help us out by giving us a like and subscribe. So guys, things hotting up in the Premier League before I start this podcast. Things are hotting up. So as of time of recording this podcast, the top four battle has Liverpool have crawled themselves back in to a top four race. Now, it's still going to be very unlikely that we do it, but with the fixtures remaining for both teams. So no, at the time of writing, okay, Liverpool, or writing, I haven't wrote nothing, but you know what I mean. Liverpool just beat Leicester City last night, and so Newcastle and United have to win 2 of their last 3 games in order to cement top 4 position. Now, I reckon they do have to win 2 to guarantee it, because Liverpool will win their last 2 games. I haven't been so confident. It's been a long year for Liverpool fans. We haven't had much to shout about, but it seems like we've clicked. I see some Irish radio stations, they're going on about, because the pressure is off, Liverpool are playing better. There's never been more pressure on Liverpool players. And Liverpool players are very used to pressure. It gets it going. Like, they don't play for Liverpool if you don't like pressure. Even if you finish 7th, you are under the spotlight playing for Liverpool. So I don't think that's an excuse at all. I really think Jurgen Klopp has sorted out his system. I think bringing Trent Alexander-Arnold into the midfield has worked wonders on our team, not only from a defensive point of view because he's out of the back line and not a liability, but the amount he's creating from midfield is absolutely amazing. Scoring last night and assisting probably every single game since he's played centre mid, or in the free role, let's call it, because he's allowed drift, and when we are defending it seems like he does slot into right back eventually, but it seems like Kanate runs out and does most of right back work with Henderson, with one of the midfielders, which frees up Trent. And to be honest, guys, we've been asking for this. Every Liverpool fan has been asking for this for months. Like, it's not a new thing. You can go back in this podcast, even myself and Psychic Dan talking about it. We're like, we need to put Trent in the midfield. We have nothing to lose. And it's made everybody in the team better. It's made Diaz come back. Salah's about to hit 20 goals in the Premier League again this year. Gakpo's playing unreal. Diaz, Núñez, I know he's not getting the minutes, but he scored a lot of goals recently. And I think that's all down to Trent giving everybody a real burst of life into this Liverpool team. Which leads me to think that Newcastle and Man United literally have to win 2 out of their last 3 games, because Liverpool will win their last 2 games. So let's just see how it looks like in the top 4 race. So Newcastle have 3 games left, starting with Brighton on Thursday night. Come on, Brighton. Brighton made mincemeat of Arsenal the other night. It was amazing to watch. They absolutely just tore Arsenal's title hopes to shreds. And guys, if they could still be playing and Arsenal wouldn't have scored. Honestly, it was one of those games, like, you know. So Newcastle have Brighton, which let's hope they lose. As a Liverpool fan, let's hope they lose that one. I'm confident enough that Brighton will go there and get something from that game, which will bring it to the last game for us. Then they have Leicester, who are fighting for their lives. Now, after watching Leicester last night, and I've watched a few Leicester games this year, I feel like Leicester has become all our second favourite, third favourite team in the last few years. They've captured all our hearts, and I believe that they are the best team ever to go down. If they go down, they're the best team pound for pound to ever go down. That's what I think. I think there's never... I know Newcastle went down a few years ago and they had Damien Duff and Michael Owen and all that kind of stuff, and there's been other teams to go down and there's been players that have been brilliant. But I think if you go through the squad, there's a lot of flops there that just are not bad players. I don't think there's bad players in that team. Yes, the goalkeeping situation is an absolute disaster for Leicester, but I personally think like Castagna starts for Belgium, who were ranked number 1 in the world for the past 5 years. Castagna starts for them. He's their right back, like. Do you know? Pereira is unbelievable. Nearly got it. Did he get into the team of the year 2 years ago? I think he did. So they're spoiled for the backline. Soyuncu was unbelievable when they signed him. They signed Soyuncu when Maguire left, and everybody says it was the best bit of business ever. Now he's a shadow of himself. Johnny Evans is about 45 years of age and shouldn't be talked about, let's say. But if you go through the team, Tielemans, Ndidi, Vardy, Barnes, there's a load of players that are unbelievable on that team, and if they go down, Leicester City, if they go down, I think it's a free for all. It's a sale. It's like Harvey Norman having a sale in Cork City. The whole Premier League is going to go snap, 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 snap. I'll take Tielemans on the free. I'll take Maddison. I didn't even mention Maddison. I'll take Vardy'll probably stay because he's old and he's loyal. But you know what I mean. There's going to be a lot of picked off this team. Basically, long way of saying it, I don't think Leicester are a walkover at all, especially on the second last game of the season. Leicester or Newcastle will have to be at their best. And then Chelsea. They have Chelsea on the last game. So Newcastle have Brighton, Leicester, Chelsea. Now say what you want about Chelsea. We've all watched Chelsea this year. They are cat melosion, boy. They're dog shit, like, do you know what I mean? How many other animals do you want me to mention? Horse manure. I'll mention all the animals shite. Do you know? They've been that shit. Let's be honest about it. Like, it's been a laughing stock. I've often said on this podcast, I don't understand business, but if Chelsea don't go out of business in a few years from the amount of money they've spent compared to what they've brought in, I don't understand business anymore. And I'm just not going to ever get into any business or open a business, anything like that, because that is mental. So you can spend $500 million and not qualify for the Champions League and do nothing, finish 11th or 12th, and still spend money the following season. All right. Anyway. On their day, Chelsea are still a good team. Liverpool played them twice this year. It was both two sticky draws. They were both 0-0 draws. And on their day, they can be dangerous. And I'm hoping their day comes between those two teams, because United's last 3 games had Bournemouth. Bournemouth have shocked us all this season, especially at the Vitality Stadium, which is the smallest stadium in Premier League history. Unless Luton, I have to check that. Luton were playing in the Championship semi-finals tonight, the playoff semi-finals. How did they get on? They're through. Yeah, they went through on aggregate. So Luton are in the Championship playoff final, but which led me to say, I think the Vitality is the smallest stadium ever to be in the Premier League. I think they have 10,000. But I think Luton, if they get promoted, are going to be the smallest. And if you've ever seen Luton Stadium, Google it and also type into YouTube Luton's away end. You literally have to walk through an estate to get into it, and someone's back garden practically to get into the away end. It's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. So United have Bournemouth, who again have shocked us all this season. To be honest, I can see United winning that one. That's the one they can go win, to be honest. It's the other two that are going to trouble them. Chelsea, what's the story like? Do you know, I've been talking about them just there with Newcastle. Again, same story. On their day, they can be very dangerous. And on the last day then, they have Fulham. If you can cast your eyes back or your mind back to when they played them in the FA Cup, Fulham absolutely kicked the shit out of United. They were up 1-0 and then a dubious penalty was given away. Mitrovic lost the plot and they were down to 9 men after about a couple of minutes. So, like, they owe them one. Fulham have been very dangerous all season. Liverpool only beat him a couple of weeks ago by a penalty by Mo Salah. Mitrovic is back. He's on scoring. Willian has been drinking from the fountain of youth lately, I would say. So there's a lot of upsets to come. So I don't mind which way it comes. As a Liverpool fan, I don't care which way it comes. But I can't see Newcastle winning all their games, and I can't see United winning all their games. No, they don't have to. They just have to win 2. So as a Liverpool fan, just bring it down to the last day. Let it be squeaky bum time, because Newcastle, with all their money and all the money they spent and with how great they've done this season, if it comes down to the last day and they blew a 10-point lead against Liverpool and it's 0-0 with 15 minutes left and the crowd can sense Liverpool are 3-0 up at Southampton and they're drawing and they know mathematically they're not getting through as it stands, they'll shit the pants. None of their players have been there before. They haven't been to the dance before, and that's what experience is all about. And pressure's a bitch. Pressure is a bitch. Sure, Liverpool last year and Man City coasted the league, right? The two of them, they're on like 100 points, 90 plus points anyway, and they were both 2-0 down on the last day. They were both 2-0 down on the last day last year. Aston Villa were 2-0 up at the Etihad, and I believe Wolves were 2-0 up at Anfield. They were 2-0 or 2-1 up anyway, I'm pretty sure. So Like I said, pressure's a bitch. So, yeah, guys, we'll move on with the pack. Oh, yeah, actually, do you know what? I actually want to go through the relegation battle as well. Who do you want to go down? Out of Everton, Leeds and Leicester. I'm not including Nottingham Forest because they seem to be safe, barring an absolute disaster and that these teams win all the rest of their games. Nottingham Forest are safe, so I'm not including them on this list. So Everton, which are the team I want to go down, not because I hate Everton, it's because Everton hate us, and every year they're in the Premier League, the 2 games they play against us are cup finals to them, and they'll give everybody else an easy 6 points all season. So as a Liverpool fan, just out of a selfish reason, I want Everton gone. So Everton have Wolves and Bournemouth, 2 very winnable games. Out of everybody with the teams left, Everton have the easiest fixtures in my opinion. Wolves were the worst team I ever seen in my life last week against Man United. Diego Costa, lads, oh my god, he might as well... I don't know. You might as well have just got a fan to play up front. The man looked like he's just finished. All he is a tackle. All he is an argument. He's not even a tackle. He can't even run that fast to even get a tackle in. They're all there. Oh, the moody Diego Costa. That's all he is now, is a moody bastard. Because he's no talent anymore. He was an amazing player, just not anymore. Don't come after me, Diego. So I can see Everton getting 4 points from those games. So let's say Everton finish up now with 36 points because they're on 32. I'm just trying to mathematically see who can go down. Leeds have West Ham and Spurs. Now, not that I can see them winning both games, but West Ham and Spurs will both give you a chance. So I'm actually going to write down 3 points. So they'll finish on 30. They're on 31 at the moment, so 4 points would make it 35 points. And Leicester have Newcastle and West Ham. Now, obviously, as a Liverpool fan, I'd be hoping to God they get something against Newcastle, but I actually, to be honest, they're not good enough at the moment. Barring Newcastle be just not at the races, I can't see it. But they also have West Ham, not looking good. 3 points. So with my mathematics, Leicester and Leeds are going down. Everton will stay up. That's how I see it. With Southampton, that seems to be the way it's going. That's on my maths, and the maths don't lie. The numbers don't lie, folks. The numbers don't lie. Well, I just made up the results in my head, so they probably do lie. But we'll carry on with the podcast. So guys, made an XI, board XI, the best XI of the season and the worst XI of the season. Disagree with me all you want, and like I said, it's all vibes. Just vibes, baby. Just vibes. So I'll actually start off with the best. You know, because I feel like I've been mourning a lot since the start of the podcast. Time to give out some compliments. Alisson is my goalkeeper. In goals is Alisson. Alisson is the best goalkeeper in the world. Liverpool have been dog shit this year overall. Alisson is the only reason that we are in a top 4 race at the moment. He is unbelievable. If anything, he's gotten better this year. He's actually gotten better. Look at the XG. I said I wasn't even down to stats and all that kind of stuff. But if you actually want to go look at the expected saves or expected goals against compared to the goals against, I think he's an extra. I think he's saved 8 more goals than he should have. So he's kept out 8 goals. Like, that's amazing. Than he should have. Than XG. Than science said he should have conceded. He's kept out 8 of them, which is absolutely fantastic. My right back is Kyle Walker. Largely down. I think this time last year I had like Cancelo. Trent, I know he's playing good lately, but cannot be in my best XI list. In fact, he's very lucky not to make my worst XI list. Kyle Walker is a cheat code. He is the best right back in the world. I'll go as far to say as he's been the best right back in the past 10 years defensively. If you ask any winger, and they often do, who's the longest in the shower? Who was the worst dress sense? When Soccer AM and all these shows ask these players these questions, they always ask them, who's the toughest to mark? And they'll always say, especially the likes of Zaha, all those players, and Mane, they've all said Kyle Walker. When they play against Kyle Walker, they have to think different because he's so fast. You can do him the first time, but you got to go do him again because he's right back at you. Do you know what I mean? Kyle Walker, cheat code. Not a guy I would like to go for a beer with, but that's not what we're talking about. We're not going for the soundest XI. We're going for the best XI all season. The stories I hear about Kyle Walker as well is not cool. Do you know what he'd be doing in pubs, pulling his langer out in pubs like you have a wife and kid at home, boy. Kids. I don't know what you have. I don't even know if you have a wife. Do what you want, Kyle Walker. Do what you want. All right, okay. Ruben Diaz, for normal reasons, is my other centre-back, guys. Man's been a rock, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but the other centre-back next to him is John Stones. John Stones has been absolutely immense this year, guys. Probably the reason they've come back and beat Arsenal to the title is the switch of tactics by moving John Stones into the midfield. Similar enough to what Liverpool are doing with Trent at the moment. The worst game Liverpool had this year was against Man City at the Etihad when we got beat like 4-1. But it wasn't even the score. It's like they could have beat us. They could have beat us 7 or 8 if they wanted to. Now, a big reason for that was John Stones. John Stones kept on coming into the middle, and we didn't know what to do. But I'm not saying he just came in to be another body in the middle. He came in, played the ball, ran with it when he needed to run with it, made the right decision every time, was a presence. Guy, I can't believe I'm saying it because I wasn't his biggest fan before, but John Stones has been absolutely amazing this year. And left back, I'm going for Robertson. Again, similar enough to Alisson. They're the only 2 Liverpool players on my list, guys. So before you lose it and go, oh, he's biased, he's Liverpool. I haven't even put Mo Salah in the list. I haven't put in... do you know what? The rest of them are dog shit. But Robertson's the best left back in the world. If you even seen him last night, what he did to James Maddison, like, the man is unbelievable. And even when he's going through a bad patch, he never gets skint. He might get skint once a season. But, like, overall, everybody attacks down the right side against Liverpool. No one comes near the left side. The left side is for tracking back. You put your best defender on the left side because you got to go track this racehorse in Andy Robertson up and down the wing. So, best left back in the world. Best left back in the world, Andy Robertson. Come at me if you disagree. Okay. In centre mid, I've kind of gone with a double pivot. Again, pains me to say it. Casemiro is in the number 6 position. No. I could have put in Rodri. Rodri has been absolutely outstanding this year. And if you look at pound for pound, he probably has been better. But what Casemiro has done for Man United, now the season isn't over yet, but Man United could come out with their own little treble at the end of the season. Am I right in saying that? Yeah, they have the FA Cup, they won the League Cup, and... well, no, they can't win the league. So yeah, sorry, they can get into the top 4. So a mini treble, let's say. And it will all be down to Casemiro. Casemiro has taken the positions of McTominay and McFred. He has taken 2 people's positions and allowed United to play 2 attacking players, i.e. Bruno Fernandes, Eriksen, whoever you want in the midfield, next to each other, instead of having a double pivot where United were really suffering under that. They needed Casemiro. What he's done for them has been amazing. Now, on the other hand, he's already declining. You've offered him a 5-year deal. He's 31. He's already declining. He's already making mistakes in the latter half of the year that he was not making at the start of the year. But overall, if you're on about a difference that a player has made to the club, I think Casemiro was the X factor for any bit of success that Manchester United get this year, and also maybe allows more players to come next year. Like, you know, when you're attracting players, it's like we've Casemiro. He's a professional. He's a good professional. He's won 5 Champions Leagues. He's a boss man. Like, he's the kind of guy you want in your dressing room. And I know it's a 5-year deal. You're going to suffer with him long term. I'll be honest. I'll be doing this podcast in a couple of years' time. I'll be making my worst XI list, and I can guarantee Casemiro will be on it. He'll be 36, too old, getting rinsed. And I'll be like, you gave him a 5-year deal. But for now, short term, he's making my best XI list. Now, I know Kevin De Bruyne isn't a defensive midfield, but I put him in this as a defensive midfielder, just to accommodate my attacking midfielder in this list. So I've gone for Kevin De Bruyne. No brainer. Do I need to go on about it? He was on my list last year as well. In the 10 position, I'm going for the World Cup winner, Alexis McAllister. Provided many assists this year. I think he's 10 goals. He's double digits in goals this year. He plays for Brighton. He's won the World Cup. And he'll attract a lot of interest this summer, including teams like Liverpool. And I'll be honest, guys, I'd be happy to have him. He's way better than Carvalho and Elliott. Excuse me. Yet he'd be the same type of player. And he has Irish roots, so he says as well, which is just adding to how much I like him. But yeah, Alexis McAllister, absolutely outstanding. Would definitely take him at Liverpool and is definitely deserved to be in my best XI list. Now, I could have gone for Odegaard also. I love Odegaard. Very unlucky not to make this list. The thing that stopped me is that McAllister won the World Cup. That's the only thing that stopped me. And he was huge influence, like it's not like he was part of the team and he did well. McAllister was unbelievable in the World Cup as well, and he's been amazing for Brighton. So yeah, Odegaard was very unlucky. Bruno Fernandes was good this year, but maybe not good. Maybe not as good as these guys. Yeah, I'm trying to think off the top of my head anybody in the 10 position that would have been better. No, I don't think so. I really think McAllister deserves that. Odegaard, very unlucky to miss out. So my front three, I've gone for Marcus Rashford on the left. I think he's had an amazing season. Even with his best season, Mo Salah has scored more goals than him. That's all I'll say about that. That's the Liverpool biased out of the way. So you can't really say I'm biased. I put Rashford in instead of Mo Salah. But yeah, Rashford is very dangerous. Looks exciting. Chalk and cheese compared to last year. Looked like a man depressed off his game last year. Now he looks very happy to be at the club. Proud to be at Man United. And I get the vibes. Do you know when one of your own is doing well? If you support Liverpool and Trent is doing well, you know, you're happy. If you support Newcastle and you see Dan Burn doing well, it's good to see a local lad doing well. That's all I'm saying. Up front, then I've gone for Haaland. Obviously, the man is a freak. He's a freak of nature. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Here's a question. I think he's only 21. Is he 22? Do you think if he does this, if he stays in the Premier League, do you think he'll beat Alan Shearer's record? I think Harry Kane is questionable now. Will he go on to beat Alan Shearer's record? But I think Haaland could do it if he stays in the Premier League and if he stays at Man City. And Man City are the only people that can afford him, to be honest. And out the other wing then, I've gone from Mitoma. Now, Mitoma, again, there's probably better wingers at the moment, out-and-out wingers. I'm sure if Luis Diaz played the whole year, I love Luis Diaz, he was just out for too long. Grealish had a great season. Mahrez had a great season. Saka is very unlucky not to make this list. I know Saka was brilliant as well. Not a lot of Arsenal players in this. In fact, not one Arsenal player in this, and I should be ashamed of myself for that because they did have a great year. But I just find Mitoma has been absolutely unreal. And what he did to Ben White at the weekend, guys, I've never seen anything like it. In fact, Ben White could have made my list other than what I seen at the weekend. Once I seen what I seen at the weekend, I was like, oh my God, the man is getting molested by Mitoma. But look, he's not the first guy Mitoma's done that to. Trent got an absolute rinsing off him when we played him on both occasions. And Mitoma also had a great World Cup. He had an absolute fantastic World Cup, and that's why also he kind of edges into this team. So here's my best XI list. Alisson, Kyle Walker, Ruben Diaz, John Stones, Robertson. Midfield, I got De Bruyne and Casemiro. Ahead of them then, I have McAllister. And my front three then is Mitoma, Haaland and Rashford. Honourable mentions, obviously go to Saka, Odegaard and all those boys. Van Dijk didn't get near it this year. Van Dijk was miles off it, just in case any Liverpool fans. I know Liverpool fans, I am one. But I know they can be very loyal, over loyal. They'll be like, Van Dijk's the best centre-back in the world. Yes, in the past 5 years he has been. But this year, I think he's all Liverpool defenders, bar Robertson, were terrible this year. So, Almiron, Salah had a great year. Kieran Trippier had a great year. Bruno Guimaraes for Newcastle had an outstanding year. Gundogan, the way Gundogan is finishing the season, he deserves a shout-out. And also Declan Rice. Declan Rice as an Irishman. We don't have any time for Declan Rice. If you're listening to this overseas, Google why we don't like Declan Rice and Jack Grealish. But yeah, Declan Rice was brilliant this year and very unlucky not to get on my list. Again, Casemiro's a shady one. I think De Bruyne, a couple of other players could have got in. But yeah, look, it's all down to influence. I think he had a massive influence on Man United, more than any other player. So here's my worst XI of the season, guys. Here's where I get to moan and bitch about a lot of people. In goals, I'm going for the Leicester keeper who got dropped since Danny Ward. Danny Ward was an absolute disaster this year. Like, you know when the ball's going in the middle of the goals, there's a problem. Do you know when the ball goes in top corner, side netting kind of thing? You're like, couldn't stop that. But you know when you're flapping at things and it still ends up in the middle of the goals, that wrecks my head. And you know, we all love Leicester. We want them to do well. Now, Leeds' goalkeeper, Meslier, had a shocking season. And Gavin Bazunu had a shocking season for Southampton. In fact, they're after starting to drop him now a small bit, Gavin Bazunu. So, yeah, there's talk of Gavin Bazunu going to Spurs. I would prefer him to stay at Southampton, play a year in the Championship, and get another year of full-time football under his belt. Well, like full games, you know, not sitting on the bench. Because I feel if he goes to Spurs, makes a couple of clangers, they're going to bench him, and I don't want that for Basunu. Because even though he's close to my list, I think he's an amazing goalkeeper and just needs to do better. But yeah, De Gea is very lucky not to be on my list as well. So Ward is going in my list, but Bazunu, De Gea, Meslier, the Leeds United goalkeeper, they're all very unlucky not to be going on this list. Or very lucky not to be on this list. My left back is Cucurella. Now, it didn't help. His 60 million price tag did not help, to be honest. I think he's the worst. And you know what? He's been shit anyway. Even if you didn't tell me the money that you signed him for and just had a look at him, he's shit. He's shit. Chilwell's way better. Even that fella, Lewis, is that his name? They have another young fella called Lewis that plays left back. He's better than Cucurella. Big problems. One of the biggest problems that you have is the amount of money Chelsea spend. Yeah, so Cucurella is the worst left back, I feel, this year in the Premier League, in my opinion. Vet Faust is the centre-back that I'm picking. I don't know if I pronounced his name right, but you know the guy with the sideshow bob haircut that plays centre-back for Leicester. He's been a disaster. The 2 games I've watched him against Liverpool as well. In the first game, he scored 2 own goals. Like, he won us the game. Liverpool couldn't win a game in January. We were actually 1-0 down to Leicester. And this man booted 2 balls into the back of the net. And he was a disaster last night again. A big reason why Leicester are going down is their centre-backs. And Marty wasn't good enough. Soyuncu wasn't good enough. And this Vet Faust fella is also not good enough. So yeah, he's going on my list. Centre back, a guy I always put in my list of worst players in the Premier League. I can't believe Southampton played him I think they played him 60% of their games this year. Saluso, their Ghanaian centre back, played in the World Cup, and he was shit in the World Cup as well. They've sorted it out since they signed the centre back in the summer, or in January. It wasn't enough to keep him up, but I called that 18 months ago that this guy's dog shit, and if you keep playing him, you're going to get relegated. That's what happened. Right back, very nearly Trent Alexander-Arnold. He turned it around now the last few weeks. If you just went on the first 6 months of the season, worst right back in Europe. And I'm only saying Europe because I don't watch Asia, Africa, or the South American leagues. I don't fucking watch them. So in Europe, Trent Alexander-Arnold was dog shit, but he's turned it around and he's been immense in the last quarter of the season. I've gone for Koufal, the right back for West Ham. Again, when West Ham signed Koufal and Souček about 4 years ago, I was like, yeah, boom. David Moyes, what signings these are. A new lease of life into West Ham. They were very good in Europe over it. The 2 Czech boys have been very good in Europe. But this year, they've not slacked, but they've declined big time. Koufal and Souček have gone off the ball. It's been the reason why they've been in a relegation battle. So Koufal offers nothing going forward and gets rinsed going the other way every time I've watched West Ham this season. And there's been times they have pulled him out the team and brought him back in, and it just hasn't worked. I think age is getting to him, and yeah, maybe the pace of the league is getting to Koufal at the moment. I think a real liability for West Ham this year in their relegation battle. They should not have been nowhere near a relegation battle, but it's because of players like Aaron Cresswell, who have gone way past it, and Koufal, who have gone way past it, that they need to address this summer, I feel. And I'd say David Moyes knows that. So my 2 defensive midfielders. I've gone for one who would have been in my team of the year last year. I've gone for Bissouma. Signed from Brighton. Was it 40-50 million to Spurs? And the man has been terrible all season. Every game I've watched him, he actually can't complete 2 passes. He actually can't get 2 passes together. Has done nothing. His stats have gone way down, carrying the ball retention, interceptions, duels won. Again, I said I wouldn't be about stats, but literally every bit of his game has dropped about 50% this year. So Bissouma, like you've Harry Winks starting instead of you, man. When Harry Winks is starting instead of you, just pack it in, boy. Now, I wouldn't give up on him yet. I was mad to sign Bissouma last year. But, yeah, absolute disaster. Next to him, I've gone for Naby Keita. Naby Keita has not played that many games this year. He's not even injured and he's getting dropped by Jurgen Klopp. I don't even want to go on about him. This will be the last time I'll ever talk about Naby Keita on this podcast. He will leave Liverpool this summer, thank God, and free up some wages to give it to somebody who we are better off giving our money to fucking Paddy Power, crypto, fucking anything. Give it to starving children. Anything at all, we are better off doing it. Do you know what? We should have burnt it, had a bonfire night. It would have been more fun than watching Naby Keita the last 5 years. Man, robbed the living. Last time I mentioned him on my podcast, he's in the double pivot. Okay, so in the 10, I've gone for Felipe Coutinho. Really let Steven Gerrard down. I think he scored 1 goal this season. Buendia has taken his place. He didn't get on the Brazil squad for the World Cup. The fall from grace from Coutinho is real, and do you know what? It's scary to where he goes next, because he doesn't even come on as a sub anymore, Felipe Coutinho. I'm actually worried about him. In fact, he played so little that I actually barely could include him on this list. Do you know? So, like, same with Keita. Some players are so shit that they didn't even play enough to come on this list, but Coutinho did. And he was shit in every game that he played, in my opinion. Out the left, I've gone for Jesse Lingard, very callable. Like, when the moment they offered him a contract for 200 grand a week, that was the reason. The fact they've stopped playing Jesse Lingard has actually allowed them to gather more points and become more secure and more defensively sound than having Jesse Lingard in your team. The man still makes videos on Instagram. The man don't even play, and he's making dances. Fucking dances in the dressing room. I'm absolutely outraged by this man. And he comes on then and makes a podcast about his mental health and that he had to drink to take the pain away from not starting at Man United. Mate, you need to get some real fucking problems, boy. You need to get some real problems, genuinely. Like, I could give you some problems right now off the top of my head that you would really need to drink. You would probably smoke a bit after, kid. You would probably hit some of the Class A hard stuff top shelf if you came around some of our real life problems, kid. Because compared to not starting to Man United, if that's making you hit some hard liquor, you need some help, mate. You need some big help. Can you imagine if I'll just hit my neck and God, just to take the edge off. He started Sancho instead of me. Oh my God, like down to the offie, like give me some Jameson Black Barrel there to take the pain away. Wow. Okay. So, out the right then, I've gone for Aronson, the guy that plays for Leeds. Leeds paid 35 million for this guy from RB Leipzig. He looks too lightweight. He looks like Iago Aspas. No return off him, guys. No return off him. 1 goal, cost 35 million. He's actually a bench player now. Like, for Leeds United, if Leeds United want to pay 35 million for a fella, you need to be starting and bringing in the bacon. Like, they just lost Rafinha 2 years ago. And I know they're not going to replace Rafinha with a type of player that Rafinha was. To be fair, he was probably too good for Leeds at the time. So you're not going to get the same caliber. But the drop-off between this man and Rafinha is absolutely chalk and cheese. And, hugely disappointing. And he's going on my worst XI of the season. Up front, I've gone for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. The worst signing. Terrible. Waste of space, waste of wages. Callable, flopped at Arsenal Cup. I actually got a lot of shit from people online. I said the worst Arsenal player in the past few years was Aubameyang and also Barcelona. He was shit in Barcelona. And everyone was like, he scored loads of goals in Barcelona. He was decent. Barca wanted to keep. Barca could have triggered a 1 million clause at Christmas to bring him back. 1 million. He's not even worth a million to him, mate. They take him back. They said, no, you can rot on the bench at Chelsea. You're not worth the million to us. Do you know what I mean? Like, everyone knows he's poison. Arsenal, Mikel Arteta knows he's poison. Barca know he's poison. Now Chelsea know he's poison. Terrible decision. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, worst striker. Honourable mentions go to Scamacca. Close enough as well, guys. And Nunes scored just the amount of goals to get him away out of it this year. He scored double figures in goals, which is grand. You're not the worst XI, but Darwin Nunes got very close. I won't give up on him yet, but it was touch and go there for a second. Scamacca, he was poor, I thought. Again, West Ham fans were fighting me there on YouTube or on Instagram about Scamacca. Give him time, injuries ruined him. I've watched about 8 games of him, and that's enough. That was enough. They signed Danny Ings at Christmas. They fucking know. They know, like. Harry Maguire just probably didn't play enough. Could have been on it. Soyuncu, Trent Alexander-Arnold was very lucky. Patrick Bamford was talking to a Leeds United fan over the weekend, and they're a loyal bunch, but they're sick of Bamford. Koulibaly, an absolute disaster. Mudryk, an absolute disaster. Enzo Fernandez was an absolute disaster. These are all just honourable mention, folks. Diego Costa was a bad signing. So they're all my honourable. So I'll just go through my starting XI. I've Danny Warden goals, Kufal, Salusu, Vetfaus, Cucurella, Basuma, Chiesa, Aronson, Coutinho, Lingard, Aubameyang. So that's my worst XI and my best XI. Let me know if you disagree, guys. Thanks very much for tuning into the podcast. Don't forget to give it a 5-star review and like and subscribe to the YouTube, please. Yeah, guys, thanks very much for listening. Peace and love. Peace and love.